So welcome back to Story Time with Ny3. Now, continuing our evolution, the history of the evolution of Yangzings, we have finally arrived at CROS souls. So this set, we got a lot of new support. We got Chalfing, we got Zefraxi, we got Zephyr and all of our Zephyr buddies. And it was at this time a heavily pendulum-based Yangzing deck, which would later on be known as the Yangzing Zephyr deck, had its first prototypes come out of the woodworks. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, have tried to make Zephyrs work. At one point I was playing 60 card pure Zephyr on Dueling Network, as well as Zephyr builds focusing on each individual archetype that make up the Zephyr, including Shadows, Tellers, and Yangzings. But the key problem here during the CROS Souls era was the consistency level of the deck. The deck couldn't get to a consistent level to be competitive, and this was actually the era that main deck at this point were Ritual Beasts. And it wasn't until the next set, Clash of Rebellion, when the Yangzing Zephyr deck received 3 key cards that allowed the deck to function at a fairly high consistency level for it to be competitive. And these 3 cards were just 3 off-theme cards ran at high numbers in the deck that completely changed and streamlined the whole entire deck. But anyways, continuing from our previous build, which was the Quasar build, the Quasar build had some merits after Necros came out, and that is after you clear the whole field with the combo, the Quasar is able to attack directly for 8,000, ignoring Necros of Valkyries, so it was a really strong OTK. But when the Pendulum build became viable, the Pendulum spam also had a way to deal with Necros of Valkyries, and that is through Divine Dragon Knight Valgrand, which is the main reason I switched over to a more purely Pendulum based build. So this video is going to include support all the way up to right before the release of High Speed Riders. So that means no Ciphering Lord Omega or Chamber Rider. They were both very good cards, which would find its way into the modern version of the deck. Without further ado, let's take a look at how the deck looked at this point in time. So the tuners, we still ran a full lineup of all 6. The non-tuners has been cut down to just 5, 1 Big C, double BN and double Suani. BN and Suani's attack power is still pretty good in the grind, and you still ran a variety of them just for the different levels and the different buffs that you can give to your synchros, which are still occasionally relevant. Pendulums, for the low scales there were 6, double Zefraxi, double Zephyr Thorben, and double Magical Abductor. For the high scales we had triple Eccentric Archfiend, double Zefraxiton, and triple Zephyr. Now the reason for the larger number of high scales than the number of low scales was because we would ideally want to summon out the Zephyr from the deck instead of using them as scales. As you can see already, this build was already looking very different from the earlier Duelist Alliance and New Challenger builds, and is starting to look very similar to our more streamlined, modernized builds. The double Zephyr Thorben in the main was there because it's a very good searchable out to Necros of Unicorn, especially if you stack the chain links right. You can make sure that every monster that you pendulum summon, whether it's from the extra deck or the hand, are going to get the effects off, because when you pendulum summon Zephyr Thorben from your hand, the Magical Abductor and the Eccentric Archfiends are 2 of the 3 savior cards for this deck's consistency. Magical Abductor allows you to adjust your brick hands into combo hands, while also allowing you do the 5 card combo with 4 cards. She also allows you to search Zephyr when you don't have your pendulum synchro plays going, but getting to Zephyr New allows you to efficiently grind it out until you get those explosive plays happening with a very small amount of cards invested. She also generates a +1 every turn if your opponent fails to deal with her. Eccentric Archfiend is even more important. Eccentric Archfiend not only can use it as a scale, it can also out problematic floodgate monsters such as, again, Necros of Unicorn. It can out problematic floodgates as well. So just being a very versatile card, allowing you to completely cut single purpose cards such as Mystical Space Typhoon or Dark Hole from your deck and not losing the game because of a single monster or spell trap floodgate meant that you were never running any irrelevant cards at any given point of the time. Like if you drew Eccentric Archfiend, you could be using it for any one of its 3 different purposes. Even if your opponent had nothing, you still use it as a scales for your combos, and it was just a huge consistency boost to the deck, which you could have had if Eccentric Archfiend did not exist, but that would mean you would lose to those floodgate problems much more often. The Zephyraxaton was mainly there to boost the number of high skills, but being a 1900 beta that grinds through back row very efficiently definitely makes it an asset and one of the best high skill options at the time. The spells at this point, they were also very streamlined. Triple Terraforming, Triple Upstart Goblin, Double Yangzing Path, Triple Chicken Game, Triple Oracle of Zephyr, and the one trap which was the Zephyr Divine Strike. So this lineup should be looking very familiar to you guys. Now the Chicken Games, Terraformings, and Upstart Goblins cutting the deck down to 31 cards greatly increased the chances of you seeing Gel 2, although not as much as when we got Sky Iris and Master of Pendulums, but it was decently above 40% chance of you opening Gel 2 in a 5-card hand, which gave it the acceptably consistent deck that was much more competitive than all of the previous builds. Now Chicken Game being the 3rd and final card, that was absolutely essential, which we got from Clash of Rebellions, really helped make the deck what it was, because it allowed you to main deck Triple Terraforming, which could get to your Oracle in turn getting to your Zephyr New for your grind game, or just searching a Yangzing to discard for your Gel 2 combos. A very versatile card, but you could not really run Triple Terraforming before Chicken Game came out, just for the Oracle, because Oracle has a hard once per turn on it, meaning you can only activate one of them per turn. So if you open too many Oracles and Terraforming while Chicken Game didn't exist, they were gonna clog. You could only use one of them per turn. So Chicken Game, Eccentric Archfiend, and Magical Abductor, these 3 cards in Clash of Rebellions combined really made the deck possible, which was not possible when we got the bulk of our support in CROS Souls. Now the extra deck. So at this point, in Duelist Alliance format, we played half of games without even accessing the extra deck, and the other half of the games we would summon 1, 2, or maximum 3 synchros in any given game. With the support in the new challenges and Secrets of Eternity, the situation changed a bit because we got Gel 2, so we were expected to synchro summon at least once per duel, maybe a bit more because Barkseers let you summon more Barkseers after you've jump started the synchro summon with your Gel 2, so you don't have to, set 5 monsters over the period of 10 turns, flip them all up, and then start synchroing. You could just normal summon the Gel 2 and immediately get your synchro plays going. And you also turbo through your extra deck at that point if you had the Quasar combo going. So extra deck usage was fairly average after we got Gel 2, but this Pendulum build really takes extra deck usage to a new height. At pretty much almost any point in any game, you had access to anything you wanted in your extra deck. So this was getting to the type of deck that I enjoy to play. So the extra deck, I ran Herald of Arclight, Armory Arm, Samsara Dragon of Rebirth, Metaphys Horus, Clearwing Synchro Dragon, Yazi, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Ignista Prominence, Baxia, triple of them, Void Ogre Dragon, Trish, Chalfing, and the 1 Exceed Divine Dragonite Felgrand. Now Herald is obviously always good. Armory Arm, Towers Turbo was even bigger of a thing than they were before due to Wavering Eyes, and Armory Arm just allowed that easily accessible main deck out, 2 towers, making that matchup hilariously easy unless they Wavering Eyes your scales or Wavering Eyes everything or resolve a Wavering Eyes for 4. Now, Samsara being the level 5 of choice in this build was also heavily dependent on the meta. Sure, options such as Catasta and Amades was very strong. Samsara was mainly here for the Necros matchup. Now the Necros plays with Exciton Knight had a very high chance of making your Yangzings miss timing. All they needed to do was put Exciton's effect on Chainlink 2. Now Samsara's floating ability, being unable to miss the timing, was extremely good and enough for me to place it above the other level 5 options out there. Samsara's effect also activated in the graveyard, so it didn't care about cards such as Necros of Unicorn. And Samsara can also revive some of your other fallen boss monsters from the graveyard, synchro monsters that normally would have been affected by Necros of Unicorn because it was summoned from the extra deck. If you revive it with Samsara, it's a monster summoned from the graveyard. So you have your boss monsters such as Yazi that's very difficult to clear and is not affected by Unicorn or Colossalus. The Metaphys Horus has become even better in this build due to the incorporation of level 4 Pendulum monsters, so you can get 2 of its effects at once. If you stack the chain links correctly, the more important effect cannot even be negated. So Metaphys Horus, even better. Clearwing Synchro Dragon, a monster we got in CROS Souls, so this is the new addition to the Synchro arsenal. It was very powerful. Synchro monsters never really had ways to negate effect monsters, and Clearwing Synchro Dragon comes out and it has the ability to negate 2 effect monsters per turn, including things such as Effect Veiler, which warranted a spot in this extra deck. Yazi, very self-explanatory, even easier to summon now due to having access to a level 6 Yangzing in the main deck. Ancient Fairy Dragon, with all the field spells going on, was the primary monster that you would summon if you could not summon Baxias. It generated a lot of advantage. Having a 3k defense was fairly difficult for your opponent to get off the board as well. Now, Ignista Prominence would later be cut for Omega when it comes out, due to Omega being far better against Necros and Shadows. But Ignista was here because it made the Cosmo matchup, which was a very amazing and easy matchup for Yangzings at that point, an even easier matchup to the point where the chances of them winning was below 1%. Ignista was also kind of like the 4th Baxia. If you went through all 3 Baxias and they still were alive, you could drop the Ignista, put a lot of pressure on board and hopefully finish them off. Ignista also doesn't activate on summon, so if you're playing against Necros, you can summon the Ignista, run over the Unicorn, and main phase 2 use its effect, which is not possible with Baxia. The triple Baxia, we finally did it. It's very easily spammable now thanks to the addition of a level 6 non-tuner with our level 2 tuner, and it was so easily spammable to the point where we even included Divine Dragonite Felgrand, a rank 8 monster, overlaying 2 Baxias for. Now the Void Ogre Dragon was as easily spammable as the rest of the level 8s thanks to Zephyrin being released. Negating a spell trap is always relevant, and now we just have easier access to it. Now Trishula, coming off the ban list, is a very good non-targeting out to things. Great in every matchup, especially the Cosmo matchup. Just a good card in general to have. Chelfing, our newest boss monster. It's one of the reasons why we are running the different attributes in our deck so that we can lock out anything we want. Light was the easiest to make, and it was also the most relevant. It stopped Exciton, which everyone was running. It stopped Tellarknights, it stopped Dante's, it stopped Virgil's, it stopped Manju and Sinju, as well as a large bunch of the Cosmos. It also had 2 amazing effects in addition to that, so a very good addition to our extra deck. Since we're on this historical journey throughout the development of the Yangzing deck as we see it today, this is a pretty good opportunity to go through one of my biggest breakthroughs of the deck, and that is the original Drawing Lock combo. Now you guys might have seen the video on the new Drawing Lock combo, which requires us to make 2 level 5s, stacking the Drawing Lock bird, drawing the Drawing Lock bird, and making Durandal as a countermeasure to Max C. Now, for those of you who have tried it, might have realized that the rate of pulling it off isn't very high. Now, the original Drawing Lock combo, the rate at which you could pull it off was much higher, and that was because Ptolemaios was legal, meaning you could do the same combo. Instead of making 2 level 5 synchros, you could overlay any 2 level 4s for Durandal via Ptolemaios. There were many different combos that could have turned into the Drawing Lock combo instead of just the one way of really doing it, which I won't show all of today. I'll show the 2 key ones that came up the most and just briefly go over the more obscure ways near the end of the video. Now, the concept is still the same, and it was that you must open the Oracle or another field spell, so you could search Oracle via Ancient Fairy Dragon, as well as obviously the Jiaotu play. The main difference is what you're trying to open here is the Suwani. You need a Suwani in the graveyard for those easy rank 4 access. The alternative way of doing it, if you didn't open Suwani, would mean that you had to open the Chiwen. Now Chiwen, if we know anything, discarding a Chiwen of Jiaotu opens up an enormous amount of plays. So for this hand, for example, if you normal summon the Jiaotu and discard 2 Yangzings for cost, your opponent chains Max C, it's your first turn and you can't OTK them, but you did side in the Drawing Lock bird, you can get rid of their whole hand. The concept is exactly the same as the New Age Drawing Lock combo, except that you had many different ways of doing it, therefore it has an overall greater rate of you pulling it off. So Jiaotu is going to summon our Zephyrinyu and another Yangzing. We are going to Synchro Summon our first Baxia. Next up, we're going to activate the Oracle, grabbing us the Zephyrexiton, or the opposite scale of what we already had. Next up, Baxia is going to destroy Chiwen, summoning the Jiaotu from the graveyard. Chiwen here is going to summon the second Suwani from our deck. We will set our scales, Pendulum summon our Zephyrinyu. Zephyrinyu is going to go ahead and grab our Divine Strike. And this is another reason why this particular version is much better than the newer version, because instead of ending on just the Durandal, we are going to be able to end on multiple monsters and a Divine Strike to counter whatever it is that they are going to top deck, making this combo even more deadlier than it already is. So we're just going to go ahead and set that. Next up, we're going to Synchro Summon for our second Baxia. Oracle is going to stack to the top of our deck the Drawing Lock bird. Next up, Baxia is going to destroy our Oracle, summoning the other Suwani from the grave. Next up, we're going to overlay our 2 Baxias for Alcei, the Sylvan High Protector. Alcei is going to call Drawing Lock bird and it is going to get added to our hand. Next up, we overlaid the 2 Swanis, 4 Ptolemaios, and at the end phase, we can attach a Tellarknight to it, detach 3, and do our Chainlink 1, Chainlink 1 Durandal, Chainlink 2 Droll combo. So already you can see that we have a Zephyr in our extra deck. If we Pendulum Summon it, we're going to get pluses. Our Pendulum Scales are intact. We have a counter trap set and 2 big monsters on board. So other ways of doing the Droll and Lock combo is opening a field spell that's not Oracle, so this could be Iris or it could be Chicken Game. So obviously with this hand, you're going to go for the Chicken Game, see what you draw. In this case, we drew a Yang Zing. So pretty standard plays. We're gonna go ahead and normal our Jiaotu and discard our 2 Yang Zings. And oh no, they have chained Maxi. So what are we gonna do here? We are going to special summon our Zephyr and our Chiwen. We will Synchro for Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon is going to destroy our field spell, grabbing us Oracle of Zephyr. We are going to activate the Oracle of Zephyr to grab our level 4 Zephyr monster. Next up, we will set our scales. Now, if the low scale was something such as Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which you can't Pendulum Summon your Zephyr with, it's still fine because Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect can summon it instead of you Pendulum Summoning it. But since we have a scale 1 and a scale 7, we can just go ahead and Pendulum Summon the Zephyr and the Zephyr. Zephyr is going to grab us something that we are going to discard later on, such as Yangling Path. We're going to Synchro Summon for the Baxia. This lets us put the Drone Lockbird on top of our deck. Baxia is going to go ahead and destroy one of our scales to special summon the Swani from our graveyard. Next up, we will overlay the Swani and the Zephyr for Ptolemaios. Oracle of Zephyr's Exceed effect is going to trigger because we overlaid Zephyr. This will let us draw the top card of our deck, which is Droll, and we have to discard something that's not Droll, so whatever we search off Zephyr, and we can just go ahead and do the same thing in phase. Attach 1, detach 3, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and empty their hand under Maxi. As you can see, opening Swani is very important. For this particular combo, opening a Zefraxi or a Bian would also work, because you haven't used your Chiwen yet, so if you use your Baxia to pop itself, grabbing back a level 3 from the graveyard, instead, Chiwen would bring itself back upon the destruction of Baxia, allowing you to synchro for Herald of the Arclight, and essentially you would have used Herald of the Arclight as the other level 4 to go with Zefraxiton instead of Swani. Now, there are many ways, which I will not show all of, to do the draw and lock combo. These things come up much less often. For example, discarding a Chiwen is going to let you access Ancient Fairy and Arclight much more easier. X-Saber Wayne has an ability to summon Zephyr Thorben from your hand. Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon can summon a scale, so if you had a level 4 scale, you can summon it. But I won't go into that much detail because Ptolemaios is banned and it's probably going to stay on the list for the next 10 years at least. However, I hope you enjoyed this history lesson with Ny3 on the development throughout the sets for Yang Zings. The next video is all about the future. I'll see you then.